Hi everybody, Diana here at Sew in Common. Welcome. Today is our day to quilt in pink. That's what we're going to do, quilt in pink. And the whole reason we're doing this is because, of course, it's October. Sorry, I had a little piece of chocolate in my mouth. It's October and it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, a very important month. If you saw the short video yesterday, our color of the day, of course, was pink. It's really important for all of us gals to get out there and get our mammograms. If you have a regular appointment that you do it every year, which is really the way to go, get yourself kind of on a yearly schedule. I always do mine in January. I always do mine in April, whatever. That's great. If you've never had one yet, or you kind of go, oh, maybe I'll have one. Start this month. Get yourself on an October month schedule. It's super important, not just for you, but so that you can stay healthy, wealthy, and quilt a lot of quilts for those that you love. Regarding gentlemen, they don't typically do those for gentlemen yet. It's a little bit difficult. They don't have the kind of tissue that we girls do, but sometimes gentlemen need them. And gentlemen, I will say, as someone who has worked in the medical field for most of my professional career, give yourself a self-breast exam. If you feel something funny, a little lump that hasn't been there, that seems kind of weird, go see your doctor too. Because men can get breast cancer, and we want you fellas to stay healthy as well, because we love you guys, right, girls? Yes, we do. And so, because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, there's a let's stitch pink and stitching in pink, all. But I say let's quilt in pink. All right, that's what we're going to do today, and it's really easy because all you have to do is go out and grab, if you don't have it already, our free inspired star block. It was from back in April of 2023. And then grab yourself 3 fabrics. Of course, they should be in pink. And I pulled these out of the stash. I didn't realize that I had this one actually. And it actually has the breast cancer awareness ribbon on it. Isn't that pretty? So this is going to be one. And it has words on it like strength and faith. Anything else in there? Courage, all things. Now, I have never had breast cancer, thankfully, but I have had cancer, and I'm well and I'm good. And we caught the cancer that I had super duper early. And because of that, I'm well. I got well quicker. It was easier on our whole family to go through the whole thing because I didn't have to go through everything that you normally do when you're really, really sick with cancer. I was extremely fortunate. Not to say that it didn't throw us all for a big old loop. I was going for, I'll just tell you my story a little bit. I was sitting in a Starbucks doing some last minute preparation to go in and take my oral exams for my linguistics for my graduate program. And my doctor called me because I had just gone in the week before and had my annual physical. And she said, hey, Dana, and I'd known her for years. We were good friends. And she said, hey, I got some news for you. And I said, okay. She said, your test came back positive. And I thought, oh, positive, that's good. And she said, nah, stop and think what I'm telling you. And I said, oh, positive in this case, that's not good. That's bad. That's not good. She said, so I've gone ahead and called the oncologist for you. We're getting you set up for an appointment. She said, I don't want you to freak out. This looks like it's really early, but you're still going to have some surgery and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. Hung up. And your body, for me, my body just shut down. I couldn't think about where was I. I knew I had to be at the university. I knew I wouldn't be able to drive. So I called my husband. He came, picked me up and took me and sat there while I did my exam. And the second that exam was over, I just fell apart. It throws you for a loop. That's why go and get your test. Because the sooner you know it and the sooner you start getting your treatment, the better it's going to be. My dear, dear Aunt Patty went through the whole cancer thing in these last couple of years during COVID. Thank God she is still with us. She is healthy and she's doing good. But it throws you for a loop. Any kind of, that word cancer just throws you for a loop. And even it's like 17 years later now, it still throws me for a loop. So go get those tests, ladies. Check yourself out, guys. Make sure there's nothing going on where there shouldn't be anything going on, okay? And today we'll make this beautiful inspired star. And you guys know why we call it the inspired star, because some people call it a Lemoyne star, and some people call it, there's like 8 or 9 names for that star. So we just called it the inspired star because it inspires us. It's beautiful. You'll need 3 fabrics. I say do them in those pinks because that's what this month is all about. So I'm thinking where you see yellow here, I will do this beautiful fabric. And where you see, let's see, where you see the orange, I probably will do the solid. And then I'll do that lovely little print as my background where you see like the magenta purple. I think that's the way I'm going to work it. And if you are looking for this pattern, it is a free download at our website, www.sewandcommon.com. Remember, these are all pieced in the hoop. There's no instruction for doing this in a traditional piecing manner, because here at Sew and Common, we piece in the hoop. We love it, right, ladies and gentlemen? We sure do. And so the pattern is there. You'll get a folder, which will allow you to go in and pick the machine file that you need for your machine. You'll also get all of your instructions and all that. And then, of course, you can watch this video because we're going to head over to the machine. And this particular block has really only two segment blocks. One of them is made in 2 different ways. So we have this segment block here, which is our solid square. That'll be in there. And then we have our half square triangles. One of them is light and background, and one of them is medium and background. So the instructions will tell you how many of the medium and background. The medium and background, you need 1, 2, 3, 4. The light and background, you need 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the light and medium, because so it's really, you're doing the half square triangle in 3 ways. The light and medium, you need 4 as well. Okay, so it's not too difficult. The instructions will tell you that, but I thought it would be easier to tell you this way too. And of course, we have this video all the way back in April if you want to. In fact, I'll link it if I can find it still. I'll link it at the end of this one. So we are going to go and start quilting pink. And when we're done, if you make 4 of these, because they finish up about 15 inches, if you do 4 of them, you're going to have a beautiful wall hanging that you can put out every October. Maybe give it to a friend, because I was just thinking about these words. Faith, for sure, when you're going through those types of things. Strength, it always helps to be as strong as you can be, because from someone who has been through a different kind of cancer, there's nothing you can do. You have to let those that know what they're doing take care of you and get you better, and they can. I'm proof that they can get you better. My aunt is proof that they can get you better. And I bet somebody out there watching this is proof that you can get better. Okay. And then what was the other word? Courage. Yeah. It takes a little courage too, because some days you just sit and wait to hear. That was the part where I needed my most strength and my most courage, the waiting. I don't do good with waiting. So that was for me. Everybody's story, everybody's journey is different. And what we love is when we get those initial tests back from our mammograms and they say, clear, you're all clear. Then you take a big sigh of relief. And at this time of year, you can go have a piece of pumpkin pie and a cup of coffee, right? So I've got my coffee here. Actually, we do have a pumpkin pie in this house now. Can you believe it? Costco. If you've never had a Costco pumpkin pie, get them. They're huge, so they're great for the holidays because you can feed a huge amount of people on them. My husband loves them, and they're like $5.99. They're ridiculously low priced and really good. I bring it home. I cut it all up. I put most of it in the freezer, and we just take out pieces throughout the holiday season. Because if I left it in the fridge, Dave would eat it in a week flat, just like that. He'd have a piece in the morning. He'd have a piece at night. It'd be gone in a week. So this time of year is a great time to have some pumpkin pie and some coffee. All right, I've jabbered on enough, folks, but y'all know I care about you, so I wanted to do this video with you and just remind you how really important this month is. Yes, we're making beautiful blocks and all, and really celebrating the idea that we can get better, that there are tests. 100 years ago, our grandmothers, great-grandmothers, there was no test for them. A lot of women died years and years and years ago because they didn't know that they had breast cancer, and they died. There was no way to treat it. There was no way to know that you had it. So part of this month is really a celebration for all of the folks that have survived breast cancer, for all of us that get our negative test results back. And it's a month to be encouraging to those going through that kind of a trial. Okay. All right. Enough. Let's go over to our machine. You know, I'm going to piece in my light gray, which I always do. And if you decide to just make a single square and bind it and use it as a table topper, beautiful. That would be gorgeous to put on the table during October. Or you could do a 4x4, you could do a 9x9 and make a really nice big wall hanging. The more of them you make, you could make a full-size quilt if you wanted to do that, as long as you had enough fabric. Or you could make each block in a different set of fabrics if you wanted to. But just the one, I think, would make a beautiful table topper. So let's head on over now to the machine and let's start quilting in pink. Okay, everybody, here we are at the embroidery machine. I've already hooped my stabilizer. I'm using wash away. That is my preference, as you all know. And if you haven't, you can go and look at the video on using wash away stabilizer. It really, in the end, will work out better for keeping bulk out of your seams and keeping that extra layer out of your quilt, especially for your smaller projects. I'm not totally against keeping it in on larger bed quilts, because in the long run, with lots of use, that can actually help save your quilts for more use. So but I say use that wash away. I think it works best. I have gone ahead and threaded a black thread so you can see it a little bit easier today. For those of you who might be watching for the first time, this is what I piece with. It is a light dove gray from Isacord 0184. Any light dove gray thread works really great for piecing, but you can use what you like. If you like using white or beige, something like that, that's fine. I just really don't recommend using your pretty colors because you're not going to see them. I recommend your pretty color thread for when you're doing your finished quilting. So we're set up with our design on the machine. The first thing we're going to do is just the solid squares. Now I've already done a few of them, so you can see this is what it's going to look like, and then I'm going to trim it out. And I did not press my fabric for this one because that seam really isn't going to be in there. So you can see I have stitched down my placement square, or my placement line, whatever you want to call it. I'm putting a little bit of my glue stick there, and I'm going to place my fabric down and then do my final stitch out on the fabric. So the solid squares are really easy. Why do we do the solid squares? You guys know it really helps in the end to use the guideline for piecing all of them together, the bigger segments together over on the sewing machine. So, all right, so that's how easy it is to do a solid square. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then we're done. I just love that fabric. Isn't it pretty? Yeah. Now I'm just going to take this out of my hoop, and we'll hoop up another piece of stabilizer, and I will bring up my my pattern design for my half square triangle, and I can start making those. And I have those fabrics prepped. I have this same color for those. I have my medium pink, and then I have my lighter print. And with my print, although it looks like it might have been a little bit directional, it really wasn't. So things, words and designs and pieces in there will all go in different directions. And I kind of like that look. That's where you kind of see something from every direction. Okay, so just getting my stabilizer up here. Alrighty, here's my stabilizer. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring up my other design. Okay. And these designs are all in your design set. Now, you'll need the inspired star, and you're going to need the regular April block of the month, which I believe is the Ohio star, that one. It tells you that in the description when you go to get the inspired star instructions, because that other one is the one that has your design files in it. In April, we did several different blocks, and in order to do them, we used the same files. We just did them in different order, different configurations, because there are so many stars that are basically half square triangles and all, just done in different ways. All right, so we're going to do our placement again. And this first placement box is going to give us our square, and it's going to go diagonally across the square to show us where our two halves are. Now, I am going to be making the light and the medium, so that's these two, for this 4 center squares. So I'm going to set that away. I always start with my lightest fabric. That way, when I flip my darker fabric, I don't get as much, if any, shadowing. I'm going to put a little bit of glue right there in the center. Now, I know that those of you that have done this with us a lot of times, you might want to skip past this part if you just want to start doing yours, or you just might want to let this run in the background. You might just want to see how this fabric is coming together, because I have done this piecing part in so many of our videos, but we always have new folks, so it's always nice to do that again. And I'm just going to do this half square triangle. The other way the half square triangles come together, all the half square triangles are done the same way. I just want you to see how the different blocks are created. So this is the half square triangle. It'll be done this, you'll use the same design pattern for all the different half square triangles in this star. Now we're laying our second fabric down. First fabric is always laid how? I hear somebody saying out there, right side up. And then all subsequent fabrics are laid right side down. I put my little glue bit there in this piece. And now I'm going to flip, give a little press. I can grab my seam roller and press out my seam a little bit. And so, you know, one of our group followers mentioned using the offset cake spatula for frosting. Let's try that. I have been using it. It actually works really well. See how flat it lies in there? And then I just bring it over here. I know that makes it hard to see, but it really lays this down nice and flat. I really like that. So that works really good. Or you can use a stiletto if you like. Now I'm going to take my fabric, or not my fabric, my tape, and I'm going to put it across my seam up here at the top, because I'm going to be going against this seam and I don't want it to flip. I don't need to put one down here because I'll be going with this seam and my fabric won't tend to pop up on that one. I am, though, going to cut a little bit of that fabric right there to make sure that it didn't get caught. So it goes right over that seam, and I'll just remove that tape at the end. Now I will be making 4 of these. And there's number 1. And I'll take it out of the hoop and I'll trim around it. We'll go over to the other camera and I'll show you how to trim around. And that's how we make the 2 basic segment blocks that get used in our inspired star. So let's go over to the other camera and do the trimming out. Let me move that over and I'll see you over at the other camera. Okay, everybody, here we are under the other camera and we're going to trim. You're going to need your trimming ruler, any kind of ruler. I like this is a nice handy size, 3 by 12. You're going to need your rotary cutter. You know, I prefer a pinking blade to get bulk out of my seams, but if you don't have one, you can certainly use a regular round blade. A 45 millimeter works fine. The first thing I'm going to do, because I've used a longer piece of tape so I can like tear and reuse the last piece, I just tear off that much of it. Then I stick that over back on the machine so I can use it for the next square. And then I just take my tape out. I've done lots of videos, as you know, on my thoughts on tape and using stuff that is for sensitive skin. If you use medical tape or use a nice fabric paper tape, anything like that. Just be a little bit careful because you are pulling against just a straight stitch, and straight stitches are the easiest to come out if we give them too much of a tug. Alrighty, so here is our line that's now going to be used as our guide for trimming our 1/4 inch. Here's our 1/4 inch on our ruler. If you need to mark that with something, I know some people just take their Sharpie, gosh, I couldn't get the word out, and they just mark some of these on here so they can see them easily. You can also use this little highlighter tape that you can get at bookstores. I know some fabric stores carry it, and you can lay that on there so that you can see the line more easily. Anything like that to help you see it. I really like these Quilter Select. They do have the yellow background because that is their non-slip grippy stuff on there, which I love. So I'm just going to take my 1/4 inch and line it up right on my guideline. Now I've moved mine a little bit askance because I'm a lefty and I have to have room to cut here. Got my and trimmed that right away. And what I love is each one of those dips is less bulk in my seams. And we're just going to do that all the way around all 4 sides. Now we can talk about rinsing out this stabilizer. In fact, I won't make you go looking for it. I know that some of you have seen it, but some of you that haven't, if you want to know about the video for stabilizer, I will link it at the end of this one because it really helps to get your stabilizer out. And I did lots of tests and experiments over the spring and summer to figure out what was just right. So I'll link that for you to see it. You can take it out of all of your segments or out of your square at the end. I say don't do anything bigger than a fully completed block. I've tried it on a full-size 60 by 60 quilt, the kaleidoscope quilt, and it was a lot to handle. It's doable, but it's a lot to handle. So I say either take your stabilizer, wash your stabilizer out in your segments, or the biggest piece would be your finished block. But that's how you take your trim out of your stabilizer from the hoop. And then I just set them in piles. The next thing we're going to do is go over to the cutting table, and I'm going to lay the block out for you and then talk about how I cut this in rows. So let's go over and do that now. Okay, everybody, here we are at the cutting table. And you can see this is the inspired star. This is the pattern that you've chosen to use, or that we've chosen to use, that you can get over at sewuncommon.com. Let me just set that aside. And we are doing it for our Quilting in Pink block for the commemoration, celebration, observance of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So here I have all of my segment blocks done. Let me actually move the camera down just a little bit so you can see those better. There we go. So here are our segment blocks. Now, you have 4 of them, which are your 4 corners of the inspired star, and this is what we're considering the background fabric. Then you have 4 more, which are the light and the background fabric, and those are going to make star points of this block. And then you have the background fabric and a medium solid. Now you can choose, of course, whatever pinks you're going to need. You need 3 fabrics, remember, but your half square triangles are going to be made in 3 different combinations. The first combination is the light and whatever your background is. The second combination is, I've chosen a solid, a medium pink solid, and whatever your background is. And then the final version of the half square triangle that you're going to make is your 3rd fabric, or your light fabric again, and your medium or whatever you used on this block. Okay. And those are going to make the 4 parts of the center of the star. Okay, so I'm going to start out by laying out my 4 corners. I'm setting my blocks over, because I like to see, even though this print is completely not directional, I kind of like to play with them, see how I like the print to look when I'm laying out my block. Even though it's not directional, I might want to, you know, have more of an emptiest area up in a corner and more of it filled into the center, whatever you like. I just like to play around with it. That's part of the fun, right? So then I'm going to take my center pieces and I'm going to lay them out, and I need them to be a light here and a light here, because really what we're doing in this center section is we are making a pinwheel. You have heard of that before. There you are, and I know I have a video out there on pinwheels. So there we have our center, which is our pinwheel. Now I'm going to take my light with my background and make those star points. So I know I have 1 there, and I have 1 there, and I have 1 right there, and I have 1 right there. Okay, so those are my 4 light and background star points. Now I'm going to take my medium or my solid and my background and finish off the rest of my star points. So this one needs, whoops, there we go, it needs to be like that. This one needs to be like that. This one needs to be like that. Move that out a little bit. There we go. And then this last one needs to be like that. And now I have my inspired star all laid out in my pink for Quilting in Pink fabric. So you could lay it out in rows. I just find laying it out kind of in the different segment sets to be a little easier. Of course, you'll have your diagram. You can always look back here at the picture if you like as well. But that is the layout. Now I am ready to go, and I'm ready to stitch these together. When I stitch them together, I will stitch them together. Let me just move the camera up a wee bit. Now, there we go. When I do stitch these together, I'm going to stitch them together in rows, and then row to row, and then up top and bottom. So I'll start here at my top row, the one closest to me, and I'll stitch this row together. I'll stitch these two together, and then these two together, and then these two together, and these two together, and then these two. Let me start over. These two will get stitched together, and these two will get stitched together, and then those two segments come together. And I do that for each and every row. Then I'll take this row, fold it on top of this row, and stitch. This row on top of this row and stitch, and then I'll have this segment and this segment all stitched together, and then I'll fold that over on top of this one and stitch it together. And then I have chosen to leave my stabilizer in until after everything is stitched together, and then later I will take it and I'll rinse out all of the stabilizer and let it dry, and then I'll give it a good pressing. And I don't have enough fabric to make 4, but I'm going to make a single mat out of this. I'm going to quilt it, probably maybe a variegated pink thread that I know that I have. I'll do a little bit of quilting on it, and that will be something I either hang in my room, hang in the hallway, or put on the table during the month of October. Like we talked with before, if you made 4 of these, you'd have a nice 30 by 30 wall hanging. That would be great as well. But now it's time to sew it together. So let's do that. Okay, everybody, while I am sewing my pieces together, I wanted to show you a little tip on how I do some of the bigger segments. So I've got my first two rows together. Now I'm going to sew them together into one large segment piece, or basically 1/2 of the overall block. And my best friend when doing these larger pieces is just a small glass head straight pin. And the reason is I can get in, now remember I haven't taken my stabilizer out here yet, but when I open up my seam, let me just use my finger to get in there. There we go. I can put that straight head pin right through the center point here and into the center point of the block underneath it. So let me grab my pin here. I'm doing this one-handed, remember, while I'm holding this camera. So I can do it right through here and then right through the pin, the side on the other, or the center point on the other side. And when I do that, then I take my quilting clip and I clip those together. And I do that at the beginning and at each section where, excuse me, where there are seams, and again at the end. That keeps everything in place while I am stitching down this line to do my, to stitch my pieces together. Because remember, that is my guideline, and I'm just coming one click of my needle to the inside of that line. So let's put it so you can see it here. This is my guideline. I am going to take the needle on my machine and my machine functions, and I am going to press that and make it so that the needle falls right there on the inside of that line. And when you sew down that line, that's going to give you the perfect seam allowance, okay? And then you won't see your guideline on the front side of your block. And if you do see it a little bit, you can take that out, or I just leave it. It really, sometimes if a little bit of it shows, you can't really see it. By the time you've done your quilting and all, it's invisible to the eye. But that's how I do this to do my larger segments. And I'll do that to these next 2 rows as well. And then I'll do the 2 larger segments together like that. So I'm going to get back to sewing these together. Okay, everybody. So what did you think? So there's our inspired star that we started with. No stabilizer in it, all nice, clean, and pressed. Are you ready to see how it turned out? The one that I made for us, or the one that I made today? Isn't it pretty with that fabric? And it reminds me every time I look at it to think pink, quilt pink, and think about all of those folks that are going through treatment for breast cancer, folks who have survived breast cancer. Yay! And even to remember those that haven't, because they should always remain near and dear to our hearts, of course. But didn't it turn out pretty? I love it. I love how that turned out. I thought all the colors turned out really, really well. Now, I still have my stabilizer in here, so the back looks a little, I have pressed open my seam to look a little bit better, but it will look flatter and nicer once I take the stabilizer out. And then when I do, I will give it a really good press. I'll add my batting and my backing, and I will just finish it up. Now, for backing, normally for small things like this, I just throw a muslin on the back because typically I'm never going to see it. It's always going to be against a wall on a table. Or another thing you could do with this is make it into a really lovely throw pillow. In that case as well, you don't need backing for it because you're going to use a backing to make the back of the pillow, to make an envelope pillow. Just take two pieces a little bit bigger than this, fold them in half, lay them over the top of each other. You've done that before. If you haven't done that before and you want to see a video on doing an envelope backing, leave it in the comments below because I'm more than happy to do that in another video. You have to excuse me. I have a super runny nose. And I don't feel bad, so I guess it's just allergies, but it's been driving me crazy all day. So you can let me know in the comments if you want to see a envelope backing demonstration in a video. I'll do that as a separate video for us. No problem at all. Super simple to do. Easiest way to do a pillow backing. You're going to like it. You'll love it. It's super easy, like I said. But didn't it turn out pretty? Yeah, I love it. I just think those fabrics look so gorgeous together. And as you can see, if you've never done a pinwheel before, you've got your pinwheel in the center. The pinwheel is what makes that whole center of the star. And then you've just got your star points and your backing. So simple to do. It's such a lovely, lovely piece. 4 of these will make a nice 30 by 30 wall hanging. You could put a little strip of sashing in between them if you wanted to, but you wouldn't have to do that if you didn't want to. So super, super simple to do, and a nice way to commemorate October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Now, if you need the patterns, and remember, the Inspired Star is a free pattern. You'll download this, and there's another one that you'll download, and it will tell you that in the description, which other piece you need to download to get the actual files. I think this was part of the April block of the month. In April, we did several blocks, and I do believe that it's the original block of the month for April. If you download that as well, you get the files. And then the one for the Inspired Star will give you layout and all of that and how many you need to make and so forth. Or you can rewatch this because I kind of talked about that throughout the video as well. And so you can get those at the website, www.sewincommon.com. You can also get there, if you haven't already, you can get our Build a Quilt system, our very first one, which is Build a Quilt in the Hoop Block Basic Set 1. You get 4 sizes of your 3 most basic blocks: half square, triangle, quarter square, triangle, and square. You get all of the written instructions. You get all of our unique coloring sheets, templates, all that, and there's a whole how-to video that goes with that as well. So you get all of that with the Block Basic 1 set, or set 1. And you should know that that set is going to be used a lot in the coming year of 2024. So if you don't have yours now, it's no longer on the introductory price, but it's still at a great price for everything you're getting, for all the quilts you could make with that set alone. Your very first quilt you make, will pay for it. Super duper easy. But you can get that at the website as well. And also make, if any of you are thinking of something you want for the holidays, you might mention the person that's going to be giving you a gift at the holidays. Hey, I'd like to build a quilt system. That would be nice for sure. And still this year, before the holidays, we have our Block Basic Set 2 coming out. Yay! I'm so excited because we're going to have more of the most basic blocks we do. Then in 2024, right at the beginning of the year, we're going to have our first add-on set. So that's coming. And in 2024, we are also going to have our first border set. Borders. Yeah. That's coming too. So just thought you might want to know that. All of those, again, can be found at the website. If you need to contact me, please do so at support@sewuncommon.com. I'm happy to answer all of your questions. Please post your photos. I'd love to see photos of this block done on the Facebook page so that we can share them with everyone. And of course, you can always just leave comments here on the YouTube channel. So comment, yay. So if you have not subscribed yet, please do. I know that there are tons of you watching because one thing I do get from YouTube is some analytical information. And I know there's a lot of you out there watching that haven't clicked that subscribe button. Please click the subscribe button. We'd love to have you as part of the Sew Uncommon family. It's growing by leaps and bounds, and I mean huge leaps and bounds. We're over 32,000 subscribers. That's wonderful, but there is always room for more at the table in the Sew Uncommon family. There's always room for more. We will never have a big enough house or a house that will say, no, can't have any more people in here. We'll always have room for more. So please subscribe. Click the little bell to set your notifications as well. Remember now, this coming Friday, the 13th of October, I know, Friday the 13th, is the first video for the Starlight Star Bright Quilt Along. Now, remember your info sheet 1, info sheet 2 is out on the website free. So you're going to need to download those because those are going to tell you which of the free blocks you need to download for this year for the Quilt Along. I can't wait. I'm working on some of my blocks, so I'm a little bit ahead of you guys, right? And I have only heard from a couple of people who want the 5th week to be a live video. So if I don't hear from any more people about that, then it will be a recorded video. Maybe we'll do a sign up for people to do like a Q&A session on Zoom or something then. But I would love to do it live for you. But if that's not something that a lot of you are interested in, then we won't do it that way. But I think the lives are fun because I can answer your questions that way too. So that is coming at the end of this week, the very first one. So it will post midnight Central Standard Time in the US. So between Thursday, as it goes from Thursday to Friday, it will post. All of your questions for that video, please comment on the video. Instead of sending them to me privately and all of that, comment on the video. If you have a really long question, something's really freaking you out or something's really, then I might tell you then to send me a message. But the reason I want you to comment on the video is because someone else doing the Quilt Along may have the same question. And I'd love to be able to get those answers out to everybody in one fell swoop. Does that make sense? I hope so. So that's the way we're going to do the Q&A for the videos of the Quilt Along, which is starting this week. And I'm so excited to do it with you guys. Have you gotten your fabric? I know some of you have. I know somebody is waiting for fabric to come that she ordered. I know somebody else is waiting for, I think, a little bit of fabric to come that she's ordered. I know somebody else has dug into their stash and started pulling stuff out. Oh, how fun does that sound? I think that's so fantastic. You guys are going to be making the most beautiful quilts. I can't wait to see them when they're done. I know first we got to get started, right? But so you should have picked your fabric by now. And truly, if you haven't started cutting your fabric and prepping it, start now. It's not too late. Try to be cut and prepped by the time the video comes out on Friday. That way, during the week, all you're doing is stitching up those blocks for the week, okay? That way, you'll keep yourself from getting far behind, because we'd all like those to be done. Because remember, all the way through, so you have until the end of the year to finish your top and post a photograph. We're going to throw all the names in a barrel and we're going to pick 3 winners. That's 6 right now. 3 winners, because we are giving away 3 free 1-year subscriptions to the National Quilt Museum. We're so excited to do that for everybody, because, or for those 3 winners, because the Quilt Museum is such a great place. You guys know we went again this summer and I did a little bit of touring and stuff for you to show you things. It was a fantastic trip and you'll love it. You'll get notified when there are contests, and you'll get notified when they're asking for submissions if that's something you're into. You get discounts on stuff from the shop, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be giving away 3 subscriptions for 1 year to the National Quilt Museum in Paducah, Kentucky. So you'll have until the end of the year to post your photograph of your quilt top. You don't have to have it quilted, because I know that during the holidays, sometimes if we can just get something pieced, we feel like we're ahead of the game during the holiday season. Or if it is done, all the better. I still don't have the kaleidoscope one finished, so I'm still picking out. In fact, yeah, I might stay up a little bit longer later this evening, and I might still do some more. I'm almost done getting it all out of that kaleidoscope quilt because I want to get it done. I want to get it up on my wall. I'm a little disappointed with myself that I haven't done that, but it's been a busy September. It's been a busy October, and it's going to be even busier with the quilt along. So it'll get there. It'll get there pretty soon. I'm thinking it'll be done by Thanksgiving. I know I'm awful. By Thanksgiving, that's horrible. That's over a month away. It's like a month and a half away. Before Thanksgiving, I'll have it done. Yeah. All right. Enough of my blathering, everybody. It's been great to be with you today. Don't forget Quilt Pink, month of October. Ladies, get your mammograms. Gentlemen, do your self-exams. If you, like I said earlier in the video at the beginning, if you feel something that doesn't not quite right, check it out with your doctor. There is nothing in this world to be embarrassed about or to be worried about, because if you get a test back and there's not something quite right, doctors can get you better. I'm proof of it. So, all right, everybody. Love you all. Have a great week. Quilt Pink. I want to see those stars up on the Facebook page, everybody. And if you haven't already, get ready for the quilt along at the end of the week. And as always, so life beautiful, my friends. Okay, until next time. Bye for now.